You have to see it after.
Meaning is now streaming live on Facebook.
Does it say that?
Yep,
Is
live
this
on
out the
Facebook.
group? Can you see us? Can you
I,
see yourself?
I don't see us, but on my computer it just says live on Facebook.
All right. That means it's doing its thing. So here's what we're going to do. I am going to assume that we are. All right, welcome Queens to the Queen Network. You guys come on in. AKA, I call myself the Queen of Queens. This is Jonah, guys. Welcome to the Queen Network. Come on in. I don't see the live screen on my tablet, but I'm going to take your word for it that we are.
It says popular topics, King, Queen swag, Queens. But like you
All
said, I
right.
don't see.
All
Oh,
right.
there it is.
It's up.
Hey,
Well, hey, we're
there's
going to
my
get started,
lady
guys. Let
Kafara.
me. I'm going to go back over to Zoom because I can't do both.
I see
Guys, welcome to the
Kafara.
Queen Network. You see something? I'm
And
like,
that's
look at
Doc,
that.
that's Doctor.
Yes. Hold on a second. Let me get
All
you
right.
guys out here.
Yeah, we're live.
We are live. Welcome to the Queen Network, guys. Come on in. I have a surprise for you tonight. We got a little king and queen swag story for you tonight. Come on in the Queen Network. Come on in the room. I need to get back over to my Zoom screen so I can get us on. Come on in the room, ladies. Come on in the room. We're going to get started. Had a little technical difficulty, but we made it. There we go. Come on in the room, Queens. I am trying to expand this Zoom screen so I can see all of us together.
Yeah,
we are going to get started. And if you have any, I'm going to say this, if they have any questions, they can actually put them in the comments and I'll have you guys answer them after the fact. As you go
okay.
Come on in the room, ladies. Hopefully we got a good reception. I'm getting some error messages on this end, but we're going to keep it moving.
That's cool.
Yeah. Because I believe we are live. I'm just trying to get over on this other screen here. There we go. All right. I'm so excited about this. I really, really am. I've been wanting to do this for a while with this couple. I've kind of been keeping them under wraps because I've really been wanting to just kind of make sure that the timing of this conversation was correct and it was in God's time. And so, guys, welcome to the Queen Network. My name is Jonas Stout, aka the Queen of Queens. Everybody in this group is a queen. Just to give you a little bit of background on the Queen Network, we started this back in June of 2019, And this is all about women of purpose, those women that have been called. Well, I'll just tell you, like God told me back in June, he basically said that he had released, he anointed me several years back in this Esther Queen anointing, right? So in June of 2019, basically what he said was he was releasing the Esthers and the Deborahs of this time. And so we've gone through the Esther anointing book. We are right now in the Deborah anointing book. And so you guys know that the Queen Network is all about two things: relationships and finances. And so that's what we've been talking about. That's what, if you get, all you have to do is go through the page. You can kind of get the flow of the page. It's all about love, relationships. You'll see things like the king and queen swag, the queen life, etc. So I've got a couple on here tonight. Tonight, what this is about is a pre-Valentine story. Um, it's been 6 years since God introduced and brought Darron into my life. I'm going to let him kind of tell the story, but I want to set this interview up, if you would, or this story up, because I've watched him grow as a businessman, as a man, as a kingdom man, as a man of God for the last 6 years. He is a mentee of mine, and not a lot of men would submit to another female to allow them to mentor them. And I'm bringing that up because I'm about to do another. I'm about to do a master class, because here's why I have them on tonight. I watch God supernaturally bring them together. And remember, guys, we've been talking about, when it comes to the king and queen swag, how we connect spirit, soul, and body. And I've got both of them on here tonight to kind of bring all of that together. When you listen to that story and how God brought them together, you'll see the foundation of this relationship. And so I'm going to kind of turn this over to Darron. I think that's pretty much all I want to say. I don't want to give away too much, because my excitement really comes from the results and how what God did on the back end. Because I watched this thing play out. It was beautiful. And so I'm going to turn it over to you, Mr. Darron. And then you can introduce your beautiful wife. Go ahead.
Hi again, Jonah. Thank you for allowing us this opportunity just to share, our success story.
Yeah.
Like you said, we've been knowing each other for about 6 years now. We were introduced to each other by a business, and it was just supernatural. It was God, because the way I would say the cards fell, the person who I was trying to sign up under basically had you guys in place to kind of divvy out and help us get into the business. And so I basically fell into your lap, and I got a call from Jonah Stout, and it was like, hi, you were trying to sign up and I'm here to help you. And the rest was history. And so there were probably 3 other people that I could have signed up in this business through, but God had me sign up under you.
Yep.
And it's
supernatural.
been a blessing ever since. And so this is my beautiful wife, Sheryl Renee Moore.
And I'm laughing because, guys, I want to say this too. She is so out of her comfort zone tonight. She's so beautiful. I love talking to her on the phone. And I mean, honestly, I love it when God stretches us, because I know exactly where she is right now. I was probably there 6 months ago. So I'm just saying, congratulations to you for doing this. A lot of people don't really know how difficult this is to be able to put yourself out there. But I want to say this before you guys start your journey, because I want you to kind of start off in the beginning, how it started, the space in between, and how God brought you back together. I want you guys to do all of that. But here's why we're here tonight. And I kept calling Darron. I said, tell me a little bit about Sheryl, because here's what's happening. What was happening over the last couple of months, Queens, some of you guys were coming up in my spirit. I was watching you post different things, and I was kind of seeing what your swag was and kind of what it is, because God told me he was bringing people to support the Queen Network. The Queen Network is not about Jonah. The Queen Network is about the releasing of women in their purpose. So occasionally he was bringing people to my spirit. And a lot of the other women, I kind of knew them because I've been working with them for a couple of years. So I knew kind of what their gifts were or what God was calling them to do, et cetera, right? And then I could see when guys, certain queens would post certain things. I said, oh, okay, that's her swag. I can kind of see where she gravitates to. But Sheryl kept coming up in my spirit. And I couldn't really kind of figure out. I'm like, okay, you keep putting her in my spirit. I know she's connected to Darron. Darron has been with me for 5 or 6 years. what's on it. She's probably like, will woman just leave me alone? But I was like, Darren, I need to talk to Sheryl. I need to get you guys on the call. When we decided to do it, it seemed like everything was coming up that we couldn't get to. Even when we tried to do a call the other day, things kept happening and whatever. And we were trying to make this call happen. But I know that there's something on the inside of both of you that God wants you to be really a really strong presence in the kingdom as it comes to relationships. One of the reasons why is because I watched the supernatural move of God, how God brought you guys together. And I'm going to just kind of lead into it with that. However, you guys want to start this, Darren, if you want to start, because I really don't know where to start. No, you know what? I want to start with Sheryl, because Sheryl, I want you to start when God relocated you from Michigan to Virginia, why you did that, and you know the whole part about God preparing you and what you were asking God to do with you. Let's start there, because that's going to set the foundation as to what you're doing with yourself. Darren not in the picture, so start there.
Okay, so back in 2006.
Mm-hmm. Guys, turn your volume up just a little bit. Our Sheryl, come to the. There you go.
Okay, so in 2006, God, I had been praying for a change, and it wasn't necessarily to move out of state, but it was a change like in careers. But the career move took me out of state, and I moved to Virginia. And when I moved there, I was heavily involved in the Word and in prayer, just asking God to help prepare me for a husband. And I thought I was ready. I mean, I was 5 or 6 years been waiting, and I thought I was ready. And it wasn't until God took me to Virginia and I began to work for a company, and I was surrounded by 8 men, and working with those 8 men for 3 years straight taught me how to be, it really prepared me for marriage. It prepared me for humbleness, because at that point I had to keep my mouth shut because I was the only woman, and I was only Black female. So, and I was always a loudmouth and very boisterous in my careers, and we're going to do it my way. And, you know, and that didn't happen. And I stayed before God. I had to, because I was in a contract with that company. And had not that been that contract, I would have quit and came back home years. That 3 years turned into 10 years. And in that 10-year span, that's when Darren came along. So, and we're both from Detroit, but we actually reconnected in Virginia. And then the story goes from there. Yeah.
Now, you asked God to prepare you, or to, you know, prepare you, like you said, you thought you were ready.
Right.
You know what? Seriously, you thought you were ready. I think there's no coincidence when God gives us these moves, when he moves us around, because you asked him to make you ready. So that's exactly what he did. But he did it somewhat different than any of us would expect. You would think he would say, well, I want you to spend more time in the Word. I want you to spend more time in the prayer. No, I need to put you in a company of 8 men where you're going to have to basically submit to whatever that process is. And then that basically brought that level of humility to you. Now, Darren, I'm going to switch to you. You talk about, first of all, I want to know when you guys first met, okay? And then the coming back together. Here's why I want this to come out, because she's over here preparing herself. You guys knew each other a long time ago, and I want the world to know that the timing wasn't right. We don't know if it was the timing, God, people, what, but I want that story told. And you guys had separate lives. Go there.
Well, it's amazing because, like she said, she wasn't ready. You know, a lot of time as men, I tell people everybody has to have that Jacob experience where Jacob wasn't going to let go. You know, Jacob spent his whole life tricking people and doing this thing to where when he finally said, you know what, I'm tired of living this life. You know, my name ain't Trickster no more.
Yeah, right.
You know, and so me and Sheryl, I actually worked with her when we were in our teens.
Oh wow, that I didn't know.
And
wow,
and it was, even there, it was like a godsend, because I thought she was the most beautiful woman in the world, and I'm just like, she is my world. She was 6 years older than me, and I had a crush on her. And what was amazing was that we had outside influences that didn't really approve of our coming together. And I had, as the story goes,
parents. It was our parents. Yes, it was our parents. Which by right, because ladies, let's be real. I was 23 years old. Darron was 17 years old. We fell in love. And a mother of a 17-year-old, and I had a child. My child was 3 years old at that time, from previous marriage. And, you know, you have a young man and he's dating this older woman. He's not even out of high school yet. So they totally disapprove. And then my mother,
rightfully so.
My mom, she was like, well, what can this young man do for you? You know, you need to be, you know, looking for somebody your own age. And so that's what it was, the outside influences that Darron
But the downside to that was I went through 2 marriages to get back to her. So whenever it's a divine connection, we can run around the block, we can run to the moon, and at the end of the day, God is like, okay, now after you're done, you can come back, and this is where you're supposed to be. And like I said, I ran into her. Things didn't work out. We weren't ready, whatever. When and got married, that didn't work. Ran back into her. Things, and when I say things didn't work, it was really me not submitting to, hey, look, this is a grown woman. She's not going to accept you being the trickster and running around and playing the game as a man versus being a man. So the third time that we ran into each other, and I tell people, you know, I got a unction to look her up at 3 a.m. on Facebook.
I love this. Okay, we are not going to rush through this part. I love this part because you have to understand. I'm coaching him during this season. He talked about the divorces, so you have to understand. I'm his coach during this season, so I'm seeing this struggle, this emotional struggle. He's also building businesses in the midst of all of this. But here's one of the things that I saw. I saw a man who had a heart for God, because we always talked about God. We always talked about spiritual things. I also saw this man wanting to be where he was supposed to be, whether it was his music, and we didn't really talk about what you guys do, but whether it's his business or, you know, he's got his CDL license, he's driving truck, you know, and so forth and so on. He had all these, and his health and wellness business. So when I connected with him, I think you were driving the truck.
Yes.
By the time this thing expanded, you and I both, we had multiple businesses. You were still driving the truck, but I think at one time you had let that go, and other things were just. And then Sheryl came back in the picture when because here's what I saw. I had been with him all this time, and his conversation sounded a little different when he reconnected with Sheryl. I was like, he don't sound so depressed in here. I was like, okay, you sound a little different. Go ahead.
Well, and you know, I share with people that, you know, if we would stop being so religious and spooky, then God can really talk to us. Because a lot of times God will speak to you and tell you to do some stuff that you're like, that ain't God. And it's only not God because it doesn't fit what you want to do.
Right, exactly.
And it doesn't fit what your surrounding and what you've been brought up in.
Exactly.
So I was going through some stuff, and I went to sleep, and I had a dream about this young lady here. And when I woke up, it was 3 o'clock, and I it was June 15th. And it was like, look her up on Facebook. And the joke is, I felt like the fishermen that Jesus told, look, cast your nets, because I was just like, I've been looking her up, and I still haven't found her. What you mean? And so, but being obedient, I was like, okay, let me look her up. And sure enough, I typed in her name, and a picture popped up. And I wish I had the picture, because the most beautiful woman in the world.
We'll grab the picture and put it in the comments. Everybody can see what you're talking about.
I was like, this is my girl. And so when I looked at her Facebook, it showed that she hadn't posted anything for almost 2 years.
Oh, wow.
So I was thinking,
I am a little bit more now.
Now I'm real. One thing queens have to understand, I'm real. So I was like, now how you gonna have me look this girl up on Facebook? Right? And she hasn't even posted nothing in the last 2 years.
2 years, right?
So I sent her a message and said, wow, you know, you still look beautiful. Be nice to know how you're doing. 6 hours later, I get a chime that says, wow, this is you. Okay, here's my number.
Wow.
Now, I was playing at a church, and I kid you not, I was like, Lord, soon as this song is over. So the song was over, the preacher got up to preach, I ran out, I made a phone call, and it was her, and
we talked probably for like 2
that whole day.
Yeah.
Well, I was just like, okay, I got to go back in here and play. But I had to smile. I mean, my face was hurt.
I bet you were playing a little bit different that day.
my face was just hurting because I was like, oh, man, I found this girl, and a long story short, she was happy to see me. I was happy to see her, but we were both at that edge. And I listened to Steve Harvey a lot. And Steve Harvey say, man, at some point you got to jump.
You got to jump.
Because, I mean, we've already, to me, life takes you up the hill or up the mountain just for you to get to that cliff.
Yeah.
And then maturity is either you're going to jump or you're going to stay there,
right,
and watch everybody else jump and get on with their life. So she would laugh because I told her, you just got to jump. And she said, but how do I know that you're the right one? And how do I know? I said, just jump.
Let me, throughout the times that him and I had come back together throughout the years, I would have to say maybe like every 10, 13 years we saw each other. Okay. Wow. And so, and I always at that time saw that the maturity in there, I always loved Darron, but his maturity level was not there. It wasn't. And I tell people today, I would have never married Darron.
Okay, hold on a second. I don't want you to slide over that. Red flag, you noticed it. What did you say? His maturity level was not, okay, how much you cared about him?
Yep, it was not there.
Okay.
Not there. Godly man to the heart, always had a way far as finances to make money, everything, but just but on that level that where I thought that I needed someone, you know. And then it was God, when we got back together, we began to talk, and he started talking about this jump. And so I'm praying, and I'm thinking, okay, God is taking me this way. I'm going to find a man in the church, because I was always in a church. I was in the church 13 years. So, and I had dated a couple of guys in the church, but it wasn't right, you know, and I'm like, no. And then out of nowhere, here he comes, you know, and when he came to visit, and we, you know.
Okay, now wait a minute. Before you start talking about how many hours did he have to drive to you for those visits, and how often did those, because this is what I tell ladies, when a man wants something or he sees something he like, oh, he coming after it. So don't skate over how many hours he had to drive to get to you one way.
Well, what I shared with her, Jonah, I told her that if you look at a man, and hopefully I'm speaking to some of your ladies out there, a man is a hunter.
Yep.
So a man will stay in the woods and freeze just to get the prize, because that's what we do. So when you look at Jacob, his prize was Rachel. Yep. So he would work 14 years just to get the prize.
Come on.
So even though she said I wasn't mature, once I made up in my mind that you was the one, she would tell me, she would give me little like assignments. Well, okay, you need to do this and do this. And I would be like, okay, what's next? And like, oh, he done did that. Okay, well, I need you to show me this and show me this. Okay, what's next? And she would be like, man, you done did everything that I done pretty much asked. I'm like, look, I'm for real this time. Like, if you need your car washed, I got your car. And so I never forget, I went out to Virginia one time, And
how many hours?
I had
It was
8.5 hour drive. And
eight and
so
a half hour drive one way?
one way.
Woo!
And I would go out there for 3 days
King. Come on, King.
just
Go
to
ahead.
come back. And it was, I didn't even feel it, to be honest with you. I would drive there that 8.5 hours, spend 3 days, and drive 8.5 hours back and tell her, okay, I'll be back in about another week or so. And so
I love it.
Don't tell me what a man won't do when you are the one that he's looking for. When you're the one that and notice I said the one that he's looking for. Because if he's not searching you, then he ain't gonna do all of that.
No.
He ain't gonna, but because you gotta remember, I woke up at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And sought after, and once I found her, I was like, oh no. And I never forget my 18-year-old daughter at the time. I was talking to her, and she said, wait a minute, Dad, this would be the third time that you've met, Miss Sheryl. It doesn't take a rocket science. Like, that's probably the one you're supposed to be with. Yeah. And I was just like, ding, 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 ding. So no matter all the stuff that was going on, and I was just like, you know what? You gonna be the one. And so I told her, I said, you gonna marry me? And she was like, man, whatever. That's what you said. I was like, watch, you're gonna marry me. And so here we are, married, happy.
Guys, listen, as his coach for the last 6 years, I saw the transition in his emotions. I saw the transition in his conversation. I also saw the transition of how things were starting to fall into line for him. We didn't talk about, kind of like the finances and stuff, how she helped you with that. And you and I were talking about some of those things, but I noticed once Sheryl came into his life, guys, there were certain things he didn't have to talk about with me no more, because she had all that stuff lined up.
Well, one thing that you mentioned is that, and I share this with you a lot, Jonah. Unfortunately, there is a decline in men mentors that don't feel threatened, that don't feel, hey, like, I got mine, you get yours. Right. Mm-hmm. So the fact that, God sent me you, it was like, okay. And I had a brief thought, like, she a woman. And God was like, do you want what it is and where it is I'm trying to get you, or don't you? And I'm like, so I thank God for being able to say, hey, look, I got somebody that's going to mentor you and help grow you to where you need to be, so that you can get the blessing that and things that I'm trying to get to you. So being able to receive from you, and it was hard. And then what I love about it, and that's how it's God, because when I introduced you two together, Sheryl was like, yeah, that Jonah cool. She cool. She cool. Yeah. And I was like, because I was thinking like, okay, now how is this gonna work? How this gonna work? Because I'm like, this my coach. I can't just kick her to the curb. But now this my girl. So
I know, right?
And when you guys met each other, it was just like, oh man, it's cool. It's cool. And so, I thank God for that. But just being able to be sensitive to the spirit, to be able to know that it's a divine connection. And a lot of times we say divine connection, but we don't really believe it, and we don't really act on it. Because if it's a divine connection, then you're supposed to keep it going. You're supposed to do what you need. And that's true. I think this speaks on the line of being mentored, because there'd be plenty of times I bugged the daylights out of you. You didn't have to call me and say, Darron, okay, it's been months and months and months. Where you at? How come I haven't heard from you? Because the thing was, I'm seeking you. You're my mentor. So I had to call you and seek after you. But then that helped me with pursuing my wife and seeking after my wife, saying, hey, look, if you need me to do this, I'm gonna do that. If you need me to do this, I'm gonna do it. And once she started, and when she said help me, I mean, she has assisted me and helped me to do, like right now we have a personal training business that is doing good, and I've been able to get away from trucking.
Yeah.
But I have a wife now that says, hey, look, what is this in your heart to do? So let's do that. Stop chasing after all that other stuff. Chase after what's passionate to you. And so, I mean, God couldn't have gave me anybody better.
No, I agree.
I had to early on. I had to, and this is, like I said, this is then God showing me. I would tell Darron all the time, you're a good man. You know, I said, babe, you're a good man. You deserve it. You deserve the best that God has for you. Yeah. And behind hearing that, it's just been the snowball effect after one day after the next, just progress and progress and progress. And it's all my blessing, you know, because this is what I was waiting for. You know, God gave me exactly what I needed. And, you know.
So I kind of want to end with this. What advice? We have two types of queens that could potentially be looking tonight. Sheryl, I want you to speak to the single queen that, and we technically don't use the word single. My accountability doesn't like that word. We call them marriage ready believers. So our ladies out there who are ready for marriage, they're preparing themselves for marriage. That was something that you asked God to do. And for those that have jumped on late, I want you to repeat it. But what advice would you offer them in this season as they're preparing for the mate that God has divinely orchestrated for them? Because that's key, preparing them for the one He has divinely orchestrated for them. What advice would you give them in this season?
The wholeheartedly Proverbs 31:1. The Proverbs woman is you have to read that. You have to get that. It has to be something that you can get out and you can quote on at any given moment. Because what you're doing is you're preparing. God is going to give you what you need, but you have to make sure you're ready for Him. And that Proverbs woman, that'll prepare you for that. And on. And then you have to look for, and I always say, pick your battles. You have to pick your battles because, you know, even though we're the helpmate, we know, ladies, that God He speaks to us directly and He wants us to get it to the man. But how do you get it to the man? That's through wisdom and prayer. You know, and
I love that. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we talk about the man being the head and him being the visionary. Yes. And we're there to support that. But what I'm hearing you say is that sometimes God will have us, because if He doesn't get His attention, He can speak to you.
That's right.
But sometimes the way we bring things to a man is not always, timing is off sometimes, and the way we communicate it. Yes, so we see something He could be potentially doing, and God is saying, okay, He's not really listening to me right now. Let me get to her. And she sees it, you know, because she's connected to Him in the spirit. So she sees it. But again, ladies, what I hear Sheryl saying is you're the nurturer of that thing. Make sure that when God delivers that to you, He gives that to you. You sit with that. You pray about the timing of that to communicate that to your king. That's very, very good. Darron, we very seldom have the male perspective on here. We need more of it. You talked about pursuing. You talked about the man being the hunter. What I want to kind of talk about, what do you think sometimes, you've been married twice before, what do you think sometimes a mistake that a woman will make in a relationship with a man? In two different scenarios. As a single woman, you know, looking for a mate, what kind of mistake or what mistake could a single woman make in looking for a mate? And then we'll talk about the marriage part second.
I think sometimes, Jonah, I was talking to a friend of mine and I said, sometimes what happens is, and I see this happen with people in general, we'll see 4 tires and some metal in the backyard. And we say, man, that's going to be my Bentley. And it's like, wait a minute. Like it's trash. Like it's going to take a whole lot of work to make that just drivable versus going and getting a nice car. We take and put all of our work and our time and our effort and our money into something that never really wanted to be a Bentley. It was fine just being the trash. Yeah. So let the trash be the trash. And go get you somebody that cause I like you say the Queen Network. The king, if a person is not a king, you treating them royal is a waste of your time. But then you're wondering, well, he don't appreciate me. Well, because he's not a king. So and when you look at it, if you found a king, first of all, he found you first.
Yeah.
If he's not pursuing you, why are you pursuing him?
Very good question. Very good question. Now, what's a mistake that as a married woman, married queen with her king, what's a mistake that a woman could potentially make with her king and they're married?
I think Sheryl hit it dead on the head. A lot of times she's very resourceful. She has a lot of information, and she's my helpmate. The way you come at a man wants to be respected. He wants to feel like he's the king. So if you are degrading him, if you talking down on him, and let's get
trust factor there too. You have to trust him. You have to trust his word. You know, sometimes men are slow.
Yes.
They get a little slow, but you got to trust them. You got to trust that their word is word. I'm not talking about in other women. That's what I'm talking about. You have to trust them that their word, they're going to do what they say they're going to do. You know, just take, for instance, the grass outside. I'm going to cut the grass. You know, grass might sit there 2 days, not with my baby because he's on top of it. And I'm just using this for an example. You have to trust that man is going to get to that and then go around it in about way, you know. So,
but I think the scripture says that a wise woman can either build her house up or tear it down.
Yeah.
So it's all in her approach, because I mean the Bible says that the women is very cunning, and so
I like to say we're very smart. But go ahead.
Well, and what I tell Sheryl this all the time. I said if women knew the power that they have, there's no reason why a woman should lack anything in her marriage if she uses the God-given ability that she has correctly. Because my baby tells me, and there's a lot of times that because I'm on 10 a lot of times, she'll be like, babe, now it's time to settle down. And it's like, and I mean, I've done things and I've seen progress because again, she has come to me in a way that's like, let's think about it. And thank you. I think the best thing to do is if you do it with love, that you can never go wrong. How would I want you to tell me that I was wrong if I was in the situation and vice versa? And as long as you keep in love and we got a pact with each other that we protect our peace. We fight for peace in our marriage.
Oh, that's good.
Because with so much chaos going on and so much stuff going on, if we fight for peace the way we fight for this and that and this, then the enemy has no room really to stir up mess and have us fussing and fighting at each other.
He tries, but
he wouldn't be doing his job if he didn't try.
That's right.
That's his job. That's his job. Well, I'm so glad we were able to make this happen. We're going to jump off here now. This pre-Valentine love story, Mr. Darron and Sheryl Moore. It's so beautiful to see you guys together. I love this story because I watched this play out. So it was beautiful to be on the front, have a front row seat to this. And
thanks for being there.
Oh, absolutely. You know, one of the things I wanted to say about mentorship too is that, No, I never chased you. I figured whatever was going on, you surfaced, you would surface, and then whatever. And then once I noticed though, you reconnected with Sheryl though, you got more consistent because something, and we don't talk all the time as much as we did in certain seasons, but I just noticed the change in you once you met her. Things were starting to line up. One of the things I wanted to mention before you guys go off the line and we get off of here. How you guys drive together. I thought it was so sweet that you guys had all this time in between. So he brings you back together. And now you both have go tell it. You got your CDL license, you're driving.
But think about this, Jonah. And again, this is where I'm saying a woman, like she literally told me, I'm going to go get my CDL so I can be with you. And I was thinking, girl, well, you are the man, because I was like, I wouldn't go get my CDL. So the fact that this woman loved me enough to go get her CDL, and I think the reward in her getting her CDL, God was like, well, since you did that for my king, I'm gonna get y'all a job where y'all working together, and now they paying for y'all to go to Las Vegas and to California and all these different places where we were able to go and get paid to do it and hang out in the hotels and I mean, we had a blast this last year. And so it's like, we really but that's God's reward for us just loving each other and treating each other the way God wants us to.
Well, I love it. I love it. Queens, I know you enjoyed this story tonight. I'm so glad we were able to make this happen. If you have any questions that you would like to direct to our king or to our queen that is here on tonight, please leave them in the comment section. I can see you guys on here. I can't keep up with you, okay? So we're going to go back and see if there are any questions. And thank you for joining us tonight. Darron and Sheryl, I'm so glad we were able to make this happen, and we're gonna get off of here. So tell me, what are you guys doing for Valentine's Day? You're not telling me everything, but any plans for tomorrow?
Okay, so we talked on Monday, and you had mentioned that it was Valentine's Day. Honestly, every day is Valentine's Day with this dude.
Yep.
I'm not joking when I say that. He is always surprising, always doing something. And I have to just keep up with the romantic side because I'm more goal oriented and business minded. And he helps me relax a lot. So the Valentine's Day, I mean, amen for it, but nothing really special. Just tonight it's awesome.
Awesome. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for getting on here with me tonight, Queens. I hope you enjoyed this. And I'm going to upload this to YouTube so we can share this possibly tomorrow for Valentine's Day. Thank you. I know it's late on the East Coast. Thank you guys so much.
Jonah, if anybody's looking for a personal trainer, tell them that.
Absolutely. Tell them about Elite Framing. Go ahead.
Elite Framing Fitness. I'm on Facebook, Elite Framing Fitness. If you are in the Detroit area, I would love to help you and assist you with your fitness goals.
Absolutely. He's an incredible trainer.
And look, my next CD should be out here soon. Lifetime is the title.
What instrument do you play?
I play bass. You can look me up, Darron Cookie Moore.
Come on.
And like I said, I appreciate you taking the time to mentor me, Jonah.
Absolutely. It was really a pleasure to see you grow to the entrepreneur, to the man, and ultimately to the king, to this queen, making her happy. All you gotta do is look at the smile on her face. Happy Valentine's Day. You guys have a great night. Thank you so much for joining.
I love you. Bye-bye.
Good night, Queens. Love you guys.